Welcome back. We now move into session 3, focused on a theme that sits at the intersection of technology, policy, and market transformations scaling efficient and climate friendly cooling solutions. With cooling demand expected to surge in the coming decades, it is imperative that we pivot towards solutions that are not only energy efficient but also environmentally sustainable. This session will explore the pathways to accelerate the adoption of technologies and integrated solutions that reduce emissions while enhancing access and affordability. This session is jointly curated by ISHRE and AEEE. We are privileged to be joined by a diverse panel of experts and industry leaders who will share their experiences, innovations, and insights on what it will take to mainstream climate friendly cooling across India. I would like to invite Khushbu Gupta to the stage to take the session forward.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I think after tea, we are all geared up for this cooling discussion going on. With summer heat peaking up, we'll see more of these articles on food losses, on post-harvest losses coming up in the news articles. And one thing that is going behind these issues is access to cooling, limited access to cooling, limited affordable access to cooling. So, in this discussion, we'll be talking a little bit about how the um, sustainable cooling solutions in cold chain can help bridge this gap between the post-harvest losses that are happening on field, at the same time helping the small-scale farmers um get access to clean energy solutions. Before we start on this discussion, I would request our special guest here, Officer from National Center for Cold Chain Development, Mr. Ashish Potedar, to please give some opening remarks, and then we'll start with the discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My pleasure being around here and speaking on this India Cooling Coalition. Uh, so it's a great honor to address you today as we move forward in our mission to build a resilient, efficient and sustainable cold chain ecosystem in India. And at the National Center for Cold Chain Development, our efforts have always been focused on ensuring that India's cold chain infrastructure not only meets the demands of food security and farmer prosperity, but does so in a manner that is environmentally responsible and economically sustainable. The concept of sustainable cold chain lies at the intersection of three, four major things which we have kind of put in our policies and build up the present way of looking at the forward, looking at how we move in the development of the sustainable cold chain, and these are like technology, efficiency, and the ecology, and this is where we have concentrated our efforts over the last few years. As you all know, energy efficiency is it stands as a cornerstone in the journey. A sustainable cold chain cannot be imagined without robust attention to how energy is consumed and managed. It impacts operational cost, carbon emissions, and long-term viability. Recognizing this, NCCD has taken a deliberate and strategic steps to promote energy efficient practices across the cold chain sector. We have collaborated with various forums, and Bureau of Energy Efficiency being one, on several impactful initiatives. One of this is, Bureau of Energy Efficiency was trying to get the star labeling of compressors some time ago, but they were finding it very difficult to kind of get the initial movement going on the star labeling, because star labeling of compressors in refrigeration is not as same as we do in the air conditioning. So on this, we have kind of collaborated with Bureau of Energy Efficiency and kind of paved the way to ensure that refrigeration compressors can be also put into the star labeling program, and they have already, I think, started that initiative now. Though it is in the initial phases right now, it's a voluntarily program. It is not like compliance mandated, but I am sure in next couple of years it will be added to the mandatory list of requirements for the purpose of getting the cold chain going on. We have also aligned with BE's program. There is a program which is Perform, Achieve and Trade. There is a scheme already going with BE for the large scale industries, which is known as PAT, and which kind of encourages units to reduce their specific energy consumption and trade energy savings. So we are also hand-holding BE in terms of giving impetus to PAT scheme also, so that we kind of get to what we want to get in terms of energy. And as you all are aware that recently we have come up with our engineering guidelines and minimum system standards. In addition to get the financial assistance from the Government of India, the first and the foremost thing which a stakeholder has to go through is that he or she has to fill a basic data sheet, which is in terms of what he or she is going to do in terms of the cold chain or the cold storage he is going to develop. Say for example, if he wants to develop a 5,000 metric ton cold storage, so what are the parameters he is going to do, like insulation, what is the type of insulation, what are the type of compressors he is going to put. So in order to kind of, give him a clear understanding where we are coming from and where we want to go, we have developed and circulated an energy efficiency data sheet for the first time in these guidelines, which are mandatory to be, filled by the stakeholders. And it's a very simple but a very powerful tool. Every applicant is now required to fill this data sheet, enabling cold store operators to become more conscious of their energy usage and empowering them to identify and act on areas for improvement. It's a step towards transparency, self-audit and action, which is like, mostly it has come to our knowledge that the basic data sheets we kind of see in the National Center for Cold Chain is that there is a varied amount of energy inputs that are being, that come across in different applications, whereas in terms of the capacity of the cold storages, say for example, for one applicant is asking for a 250 kilowatt of energy for a 5,000 metric ton storage. Another person or another stakeholder is for the same 5,000 metric ton would be asking for 150 kilowatt or 300 kilowatt. So what we are now trying to drive to them is, while they tell us what is from the point of inception, which is how much they have how much load they have incepted from the boards, to the point where they will kind of fill each and every parameter in that sheet in terms of what is the compressors, what is the capacity of the motors, even the small electricity bulb they are going to run in that plant, they have to kind of notify and come across a pattern where they will also understand by themselves is the energy requirement they are kind of indenting at their place, is it required or they required less than that. So we would also come across the same pattern, because these data sheets will come to us and we will also map the energy changes on that. Adding to that, I am pleased to share that NCCD is in the final stages of completing a comprehensive study on energy transition in cold storage across India. I have gone through the report and I have the figures in terms of what is going to be the requirement when we transit from the present infrastructure. But once the report is out, we will kind of share it with the forums, and we will publish it on our website also. The study will offer critical insights into prevailing of energy consumption patterns, and more importantly highlight the scope for adopting renewable energy and efficient technologies. It will serve as a roadmap for transformation across the sector. We are also talking to BE as model and pilot projects, maybe how we can kind of do a modeling of the same concept on certain projects across India and see how much of energy we saved and what is the kind of decarbonization we'll be doing on those projects. On the infrastructure front, as I have already spoken about, that minimum guidelines and standards have been published after 10 years, and they reflect both current needs and the future sustainability goals. The new guidelines provide a granular and updated classification of the cold storages. We have now gone away from that two types of cold storages which were in the earlier guidelines. Now we have bifurcated into CS1, CS2, CS2CA, CS1 Onion has been also this time as a first time in the overall context of Indian cold chain sector. This is first time that onions have been given a place in the scheme guidelines. And then we have CS4, which is for the purpose of resins and spices. And then we have also ripening chambers, which have been classified as CS3 most probably. And CA is also classified as CS2CA. and there are quite a lot of specifications which now would have to be followed to get the government and the financial aid. We are making a lot of things mandatory this time. There are no add-on components like I want to do a cold storage, but I will not do this in my cold storage. It is not going to happen like that. They have to do everything that is mandated in the cold storage, because we are looking at a much bigger canvas in terms of development of cold storages, where we intend and see that food security and how do we kind of adapt to becoming the source of serving the export markets also. And for that we need to kind of put a lot of modernization onto our cold storages. So that's why we have looked at very sharp and intrinsic details in those specifications, where from dock levelers to material handling equipment, from in handling equipment to energy efficiency and unified automation systems, and also certain components which will also give traceability in terms of what kind of produce is coming to these cold storages and who are the farmers, and that will be all tabulated and mapped through certain softwares which are being developed by NCCD through with certain organizations, and as and when we will kind of let the stakeholders know who these guys are, who can do this, and then once it opens it to the market, then a lot of technology based companies can come and do the business. And this also allows two more things. One is we putting a lot of pressure on our own manufacturing, where we want a lot of manufacturing to happen in India, and simultaneously on the employment side, which is going to give more employment to our people in India. So from the we also understand that as all of you are dealing in this sector for so many years, there is a predominant fact that most of the losses are happening at the primary side of the cold chain, which is from the farm till the market. Distribution, in terms of our understanding, is still better equipped in terms of cold storages. A lot of cold storages there right now in India, and I think we are standing at around 13,000 plus cold storages in India. The official, the unofficial figure of reefer transport is around 60,000, but right now the official figure which stands with us is approximately 20,000. And but to kind of also see that the farmer's income is also doubled. You know, I go to a lot of forums, and we speak about all these things, that farmer's income needs to be doubled, or he needs to be kind of protected, and it is our prime responsibility is to see that the grower is not, he does not get into the distress selling. So what we have done is, now with focus on energy efficiency and climate also, we have done three major things in this policy. One is, on the primary side, we have allowed a farm gate pack house, which is an add-on component of 10 metric ton cold storage, which can be based on any of the 4 technologies, that is renewable based cold storages, it can be solar photovoltaic based cold storages, thermal storage based cold storages, on-grid, off-grid, hybrid, and the conventional refrigeration. We are not moving out of it, but we have done small changes on the conventional side of the refrigeration, which is the normal cold storage was working in the Indian market till right now. And to kind of minimize the gap between the farm and the market, we have added 2 more components. One is the integrated pack house. This integrated pack house is a bigger area now, with 2 15 metric ton cold storage as the mandatory part of the system, packaging lines, washing lines, conveyors, dock levelers, automation is going to be part of the overall pack house systems. It cannot be, a shed. The shed heights have been classified now. In terms, we understand that pack houses cannot be used as cold storages. So we have classified even the height of the pack house. We have classified the height of the docks even, and we have also laid the minimum engineering guidelines that how the flooring of the cold storages has to be done, so that people who intend to get into these facilities, do not get unnecessarily, they get into certain areas where they are not given the right scope of things, and they do something which is finally not viable, and then they have to shut off the businesses. And to kind of also give the growers, FPOs and the farmers one more opportunity to reach to the market, is that we have now added a collection aggregation center, which is double the size of the integrated pack house. And this CA collection aggregation center has to be, the minimum requirement is to be that it needs at least 5 to 10 people to run this show. And but it need not necessarily be like FPO or any substantially some kind of a organization. Any 5 people can come and give an application, and with this, and the most important part is, since we are looking at bridging the gap between the farm and the distribution center. Distribution is from where we get into our houses. It's a wholesale mandi jisko hum bolte hain. It has to be in the 5 to 10 kilometer radius of an expressway or a super expressway or a highway, so that it gets connected to at the back end with the farm gate, and at the front with the retail of the industry. And for the first time, to also give impetus to the supply chain, which is very critical part of the overall development, we have introduced 2 smaller vehicles, which is up to 2 metric ton. An collection aggregation center can take 2 small, up to 2 metric ton, 2 vehicles, either electric vehicle. While we talk of sustainability, we are kind of committed this time. So it can be an ICE or an electric vehicle. So it gives again opportunity for our manufacturers in India to develop these kind of small reefer vehicles. And at the integration center, we are also looking for 1 vehicle. And for collection aggregation centers, we are also giving them an additional benefit in terms of adding 14 metric ton vehicle. If they intend to, they need not go into the reefer side of the application, which is a separate component in the policy. They can simply go in the collection aggregation center component and put in request for a 14 metric ton vehicle, which can allow them to take it to the further markets. And all these cold storages at these pack houses or collection aggregation centers have been given a financial assistance, where we have now introduced renewable based cold storages in these, which was not there till last year. So now there are the stakeholder has the option of going into a thermal based storage, or a SPV based technology, or a conventional based technology, which we are not kind of obsoleting presently from our systems, which is important as we move forward, because this is done for the first time. So once we get into the line of action in 1 year and understand, and what we also understood in last 3 months is that the policy is accepted very well. It has been appreciated throughout the circuit, and we are getting a lot of inquiries now in terms of how do we go ahead, because there are a lot of components like unified automation system has become a mandatory part, where PLCs, IoT is going to be very, very important part of this. So IoT systems are now mandatory in those cold storages. And also what we speak of when we talk of kind of traceability, small traceability in terms of farmers who are coming with potato, onion. So we also understand the concept of giving that freedom to the farmer. When he's coming to the pack house or a cold storage, he comes with a tractor. So his tractor is mapped in terms of what is the tractor number, how many tractors he has got. So everything is going to be digitally put, and then all this data is going to be added to the digital platform, which we're going to come in next. By the month of June, the digital platform will be launched, and it will be kind of integrated. So we'll do all these things. And what we also done is, in the conventional based cold storages, we have mandatorily ensure 2 things. One is, we have there is a restriction now in use of thermocol based insulation. We have completely stopped it. We are not going to give any assistance to those cold storages, and I don't think anybody in last 3 months has come to me and said, why have you taken this off the shelf? Everybody is happy, and because this is detrimental to the nature, so we are not going to give any subsidies on insulations which are detrimental to nature. We are also discouraging the use of refrigerants with high global warming potential. We are also mandated that anybody who wants to set up conventional cold storages will not be allowed to use refrigerants which have GWP more than 1500. While I understand 1500 is also on the higher side, but I also wanted to give a chance in terms of to our people that they should not feel like everything is being licensed. So we have given them an option this time, and we will keep on reducing the GWP on the refrigerants. We are very soon going to issue letters to the refrigerant manufacturers, where we are going to kind of request them that they should start manufacturing refrigerants in India, and those refrigerants which are synthetic has to have a GWP up to 500 to 1000, that is our mandate, which we're going to come in maybe 1 year, 1.5 year down the line. Ozone, ODP refrigerants are obviously, they're out of the question now. And we have also mandated certain more things, which is on the supply side. We have now introduced reefer vehicles from 4 metric ton. Initially, till last year, the policy which was in place, the reefer vehicles used to start from 9 metric ton, and there was a pro rata calculation on the basis of in terms of when somebody wanted to get a smaller vehicle, he was not allowed. And then obviously, if you are not allowing smaller vehicles, then your primary side or the farm gate side is kind of affected. So we have allowed 4 metric ton now, up to 14 metric ton. We have given that liberty to the states, horticulture missions, and 15 metric ton up to 30 metric ton will be done under the National Horticulture Board. And we have freezed in terms of the cost at 3,45,000 rupees per ton. So there is no pro rata calculation. Whatever you want, whatever a stakeholder wants to add to his supply chain, he is free. And we have also mandated that for the purpose of transparency, we have given them a leverage of 70 metric ton in 2 years, and then 2 years they can take another 70 metric ton and keep on adding in multiples of 4 metric ton up to 14 metric ton. That is their choice. We are not going to restrict them. ये लीजिए वो लीजिए ऐसे करके हम कोई उस पर बंदिश नहीं डाल रहे हैं. And in conclusion, I can only say that the future of Indian cold chain is lies just not in expanding infrastructure, but in building it responsibly through our initiatives in energy efficiency, environmental compliance, innovation, capacity building. NCCD is setting a benchmark for what a modern, sustainable, and inclusive cold chain should look like. Let's remind ourselves that sustainability is not an end; it is a journey, and in this journey, NCCD remains committed to working hand in hand with all the stakeholders, government bodies, industry leaders, partners, and farmers to ensure that every step we take, it brings us closer to a greener and more energy conscious and resilient India. And we also have, to further add to the sustainability part and the energy part, we have rapidly, I myself sometimes see this as a God's grace, obviously, that in 3 months time we set up 2 demonstration centers at NCCD campus. Like one of our partners who was trying to get with us, he wants to kind of give us certain equipment which is based on inverter compressors. So when he first time came to our office, he saw, he said, आपको कितना time लगेगा सर अभी इसमें? बोला हो सकता है 1-1.5 महीना. बोला अच्छा ठीक है. तो once I called him, वो बोला यार इतना जल्दी आपने खड़ा भी कर दिया, चालू भी हो गया. So message is importantly कि आप जब चीज़ देखते हैं ना, तो you start to realize the importance of the things. And it is, हमारे ऑफिस में आप NCCD में जो भी आते हैं, वो एकदम से they get amazed. अच्छा ये है, this is what you're talking about, this is the solar based technology you have been speaking of. So I understand, देखने से आदमी की समझ जो बढ़ रही है और उसके जो फायदे आने वाले टाइम में आएंगे, I'm sure it is going to get I think we have, my joint secretary was telling me a couple of days ago that there are 10 to 20 inquiries which have come from the state after the new policy, only for the solar based cold storages now. I know there are a lot of solar cold storages which are put up in states, but now since we have specified in terms of financial assistance, technology, now they're going to come with a more seriousness in terms of what they want to do. And NCCD policy is this time not only going to be an extension of initiatives what we have been doing. We are also going to be more flexible in our approach. That's very clear. In terms, what we have written and done in a policy does not mean that it ends there. The idea is to kind of give more freedom to the grower in terms of once he sets up these basic data sheets or these energy efficiency sheets to us, we may differ from a project to project in terms of his requirement. We will not say no, यहाँ पे तो यही लिखा आप यही कर लीजिए. We will take that initiative. हमें पता है थोड़ा सा tough होता है government में, but we are going to move in that line and say कि ठीक है, इसके लिए ठीक है, इसको हम ये we going to give him that benefit. आपके लिए ठीक नहीं, हम नहीं देंगे. There are certain people who are adamant on नहीं हम तो एक दरवाजा लगाएंगे, हम तो नहीं करेंगे. हम बोलते नहीं, फिर आप जाइए कहीं. We are not going to give financial assistance on, because we are also very critically clear on safety, like fire safety has been first time introduced. We have mandated 2 staircases in these cold storages, doors on all the floors, and a fire safety exit door on all the floors, for the so that people who are working in these cold storages do not suffer because of somebody's mistakes. So that is how we're going to take it forward. There are a lot of other things which we're doing. It's the study for the present infrastructure in India. We already awarded it. It's already started, and most probably in 10 months down the line we will come across what is the present scenario on the ground in terms of cold storages and the logistics also, what is happening on those sites. And with this, I thank you all, and look forward to your valuable suggestions always at NCCD, and anything for us, we are open to you. Thank you very much.
And as also with this ICC conclave, we are committed to national vision to local action. This is what exactly talks about how a national vision can be implemented in a way where we are also supporting some of the national missions, such as Make in India, with with motivating local manufacturers producing things, and then also skill building. Because if you are planning to have these operators, 5 to 10 people operate these smaller cold rooms, you're also actually contributing to green jobs. So thank you very much for that insights, and these guidelines, the demonstration centers are also all of these measures which are sort of talking about how a national vision can be implemented through local actions. Moving forward with those opening remarks, I would like to invite Mr. Ashish Gupta, Managing Director, Standard Refrigeration Private Limited, and ISHRE, and from ISHRE, Dr. Nitin Goyal, Inficold, Mr. Akash Agrawal, New Leaf Dynamics, to the dais to have a sort of round of chat with understanding on how these cold rooms can be seen as more affordable solution, as well as contributing to doubling farmers' income. Hello. Yeah. So in the beginning, I did talk about that with summer speaking in, we'll be hearing more about the produce loss story, about how because of not accessing to affordable cooling solutions, a number of farmers have to throw away their produce or have to do distress selling. Sustainable cold room solutions are definitely providing us a way where we can help these farmers provide access to affordable solutions, as well as also contributing to clean energy missions that India is a part of. So maybe I will start with Nitin, with you, on some of the things that tech providers in this area are working on. We see that the current market scenario is driving energy efficient and cooling solutions for cold rooms. But we still see a demand for the standard cold rooms per se, which are maybe not utilizing or having integration with the renewables. What's your take on that? Or maybe if you can reflect, is this the right scenario?
No, yeah, thanks. See, one of the main, I would say, issue what we have realized is market is in a nascent stage at the farm gate of using a cold storage. So a person first tendency is to spend little bit of a money to try something out. So his initial first idea is, okay, I need to do something in cold storage. Shall I buy something second hand? So the way, and then after using it for a year, then he will, okay, now I will go with a branded one. Then after a couple of years, okay, now I will use a higher efficiency or better efficiency technology. So this is one way, and which is from a psychology perspective, that what we have realized. And the second is lack of, especially for solar cold storage or higher efficiency systems, lack of specifications. Till date, as a company, whenever we get an inquiry on solar cold storage, we send two quotations. One is economy design, which is more like market driven, and second is like government of India minimum guidelines based. And now it is up to the end user what he buys, purchases. So those are the two, and I think these are the main challenges which we have seen.
Thank you, Nitin. On a similar note, then Akash, maybe are you getting requests for these renewable energy-based cold rooms, or you have? How is the scenario like?
For us, at New Leaf, for the biomass-powered cold rooms, we directly work with the end users, and we have a different experience because the users that want to install a biomass cold room, they look at as a bankable model. So can a biomass cold room be financed by the bank? Will there be a subsidy? Because they really are looking forward to see a cash flow, and can that cash flow pay the interest and the loan? So even if that goes through, the loan goes through, utilization is a challenge. And why is that a reason? Is because these are the first time users of cold room. So there is always a risk, there is always a learning journey. And I think as always an example that I want to quote here, one of the farmers, they asked us for a storage life chart. And usually cabbage, as any publication, it can be from 1 month to 3 months at 1 degree Celsius. But they would not like to understand the maturity of the fruit. What maturity the fruit is going, or the vegetable is going inside the cold room. They are very adamant to what is written on the paper, or the price being increased from, say, a profit of 6 rupees. So until that profit is recognized, they will not empty the cold room. So I think that they intend to learn a very hard lesson, and I think that is where the journey has, it makes it difficult for us to really sell through a positive word of mouth.
Well, that's a practical challenge, I think, which is not many of us realize until we go there and we meet these people, we see these deployments happening. So thank you for that bit. Ashish ji, coming to you and talking about some of the work that ISHRE is doing. Energy efficiency and natural refrigerants is something that the government is also focusing on. What do you see, or how do you see ISHRE's role, and what are some of the things that ISHRE is doing that can bump up this work further?
Okay, thank you, Khushbu. Before I deep dive into what ISHRE stands and does for, I think there are two things I want to open the house to. One is that when we do air conditioning, and people also associate themselves with air conditioned spaces, OT is a place where normal dynamics of air conditioning energy efficiency does not work, because the patient is the most critical. You have to have air changes, you have to have, that there is no infiltration. Similarly, in a cold store, the most important product and the produce is the produce, right? The rest of it is all the story built around it. So, in a way, what I would really appreciate NCCD for what they have done in this new guidelines. It is, first of all, really commendable, like talking about that, if you have to have a grant, there is no exception. We all will relate to our childhood. In school, we used to have our dresses, uniform we used to call, we used to have a timetable, and we performed better because there were no exceptions. So I think that is something fundamentally I really appreciate about this. Again, great thing that is talked about is automation. Seldomly we are talking very high things, but there's a very common sense that if you have reliable temperature controller, every degree saves you about 6% of energy on the same very equipment that you're using. So bringing automation is something I think which is really, really commendable. Also, this new paper has talked about accountability. Now, when you talk of accountability, you talk about how the food has traveled its whole journey. And that is making everybody in these stakeholders become responsible. So while what Nitin sir has said, and newly Akash has said, it is very, very pertinent, but I still believe farmers are best growers and agriculturists, and food has to be a technocrats who will run and take it forward. So while we may feel like empowering the farmers, but I think the journey of the food has to be a business-driven model. So that is there. And finally, before I go forward, I thank you really, Ashish sir, for bringing fire and safety into your thought process, because that's something which is totally been neglected for so many years altogether. So I think this whole new policy, from where I see, is kudos. Thank you, sir, for appreciating. And the other thing I talk about when this topic is there, we are talking about scalability. So I think the most important word is scalability, and that's where technocrats like Nitin and Akash, they come in, because while there could be technologies that NCCD may talk about, but how do you make it scalable? So I think that's where we need people like, we are talking about energy. Now, talking energy in isolation, just as a pumping mechanism, is not the only way we have to look about it. We have to talk about seasonal efficiency. We have to talk about yearly efficiencies. We have to talk about what do you use it when you are not using for produce A, and what will you do with when you use it for produce B. So in terms of talking of efficiency, we have to again look at the produce. And I think the most important thing that we also need to talk about is the end of life. What happens at the end of life, because when you're talking of carbon, it is not only just the built environment carbon, but also the end of life carbon that you're talking about. So with these background in thought process for cold chain refrigeration, ISHRE works on a lot of fronts. So we recognize that there are challenges. While there are great opportunities, but we also have challenges. So one part is that we bring expertise with all of our members to stakeholders like government, and think tanks like yours, where we can contribute into our, knowledge that we have. That is one thing we do. The other thing that we are doing very extensively is that we are promoting research. So while Nitin and Akash are, our brand ambassadors in terms of innovation, but the country needs maybe 100 or 200 or thousands more of people like them. So we are working with IITs and other colleges to develop research, and currently we have about 8 projects which are live only in refrigeration, which again ISHRE will not keep it to themselves. It is for the industry to adopt later on. So that is one thing we are doing. The other thing that we are also doing is, like you said, skill development. So we certainly realize that there is a huge shortfall in terms of skill development, and while Nitin can produce the best of the machines, and like Akash said that he has challenges in people understanding cabbage and their life cycles, I think it is very important that we train people both in terms of sensitizing the food and also in how we are going to run the equipment that we have done. So that is going to be very important factor. And and I think the last thing that ISHRE does is, and we are very focused, is to bring all technologies together. So we do a lot of seminars, and we do our yearly function like RefCold, where we bring a lot of technologies together, and we also bring a lot of think tanks together. All in all, I think what Ashish kind of said in the end, I fully agree that the road in cold chain for sustainability is just a beginning of the journey, and there's a lot more to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish ji. I think collaboration is the key, and that's what you have indicated, what earlier Ashish ji indicated. But what we've been seeing in the field is that a number of foundations, philanthropic organizations are putting money, are putting funds for deployment of these renewable energy-based cold rooms. And this is a question, I think, for all three of you, that how do we sort of increase the utilization of such cold rooms? Or at many times we are also seeing that they get defunct. They're not even in the working conditions. So basis the practical experiences that you've been seeing on ground, and ISHRE collaborating, connecting with so many people, Are there any inputs that you would like to, or reflections that you would like to talk
I
about?
have certainly a theory, and that is my personal, and I think maybe a lot of people will agree. But I think before I come to my version, I think I want to like to hear from Nitin and Akash, because these are the stalwarts. My opinion is through my sense of shades, colors that I see, but they know better.
You know, so we have about 50 or 50 solar cold storages done through foundations, and there are few challenges, I would say. One is foundation giving a cold storage not to end user but to another NGO. And NGO treats it as a project, not as a livelihood. So the system stays there for a year, it is operated, and then that NGO is trying to make money out of it through rental, and then end user is not interested. So that is one major issue. Second issue which we have realized is not specifically telling the end user what are the requirements. So for example, if a system is solar cold storage, then you need little bit of a grid, and the system is sold that it is completely gridless. So that is another challenge which we have faced real issues. Means we have even we got very bad emails from the NGO, and then we showed their PO. That right in your PO it is written, right? No, I'm not saying. The third one which we have faced challenges is as the system is given free of cost, no one cares about it. So my first recommendation to any foundation is never give a system free of cost. At least 30, 40, 50% money need to be upfront borne by the end user, because then they will realize the need of it. A lot of time the systems are given to the end user, and end user will claim a moon, but nothing will happen on the ground. And the last challenge which we have faced is end user tries to minimize the maintenance expenses. The maintenance expenses is less than 1%. We are willing to give comprehensive maintenance at only at 1%, and a lot of time end user doesn't want to pay that also, and then they will start blaming that system is not working, and then right. So those are the kind of issues which we see.
So I think before the word cold room comes in, we need to realize what kind of value chain are we addressing. I think that plays a critical role in the utilization of the cold room. And in a catchment area of a cold room cannot be utilized for more than 2 or 3 crops, because we are going towards a one district, one crop. So I think whenever an organization, foundation comes in, it has to be 3 stakeholders: one, the foundation, the grant funding organization; one, the technology supplier; and one, the user. I think all 3 of us have to be made responsible for the utilization, because the end user becomes just a facilitator. So it is the produce coming from their farm, and they have taken a risk, because the cold room, without a cold room, they were directly selling in the market and easily replenishing their cash flows. But with a cold room, they have to hold on to the supply. So it is just like a stock market. So it can be, if there are profits, it can be losses. So they have to also understand the cold room business of how a trader understands the cold room business. So they have to really become a middleman, the first middleman in the fruit or vegetable value chain. So until and unless all the stakeholder comes together to get the system utilized, it is very difficult, and it will always be below 50%, whereas the industry average is 75%. So I think most of these DRE are still very underutilized, though they are in the catchment area.
Okay, so I'm usually, this is like personal, so it doesn't reflect ISHRE or anybody, but this is my own personal opinion. Solar or renewable energy based any facility is the right medicine, is the magic drug. Question is, how are we administering it? Is the dosage right? Is the timing right? Is the person who's prescribing it right? So if we are, when until whatever time we are going to look as solar cold room at the farm gate level, at a farm, we are going to be killing the right product with not correct approach. Solar cold room is the reason why solar is there, because it is to replace conventional energy, it is to give you energy efficiencies, it is to give you the lowest cost per kg of sustainable produce to keep it. If we are going to keep it at farm levels, it is not. So what, in the end, I think I appreciated, and whether, I don't know whether it is his idea or not, but jo CA ne bola, aggregation and collection, that is the way forward for this country, because we have marginalized farmers. We also have our sensibilities, in the sense हम अपने पड़ोसी से बात नहीं करते, हम चाइना से भी बात कर लेते हैं, यूएस से भी बात कर लेते हैं, and that does not stop with me. It also goes down to the farm level कि वो कहता है यार मैं उसके वहाँ पे रखा हुआ स्टोर मैं नहीं करता या मैं नहीं रखता. अच्छा, उसके बाद then people have their own, once they've chopped it, they've cleaned it and they've loaded in their truck, they want to sell it and they want to bring money back home. So we need solar 101%. This country needs, the industry needs, but I think we need it to go through like an FPO module or a collection and aggregation module. And these large facilities, again, I always feel food is going to be worked best when it is business. If it is led to people who know how to run business, they will certainly make it most usable. We need to have heat removed at the very farm gate level, but it is not farmer's call. It has to be aggregator's call, and he will do it, wash it, clean it, pack it. You and me need our tomatoes coming fresh in, maybe trays like we have eggs. Farmer is not going to do that. The milk industry, if you see, the milk revolution did not happen because the farmers were very excited to do, pasteurized milk or, bacteria-killed milk. It was because people who were the end milk producers, they said, okay, here is BMC, आप इसमें बस डाल के रख दो, I will give you 2 rupees extra. It was monetized, and that is where it happened. So I think my take is right medicine, wrong prescription. Sorry.
Thank you. I think when you say that, it also talks about the business models that are being more actively taken up or are more prominent in India. Nitin and Akash again, I mean, are there some business models that you definitely see are working in this space, while the others may not?
So yesterday story I would tell. So we had a customer from Murshidabad in West Bengal, and so Mr. Santosh Kejriwal, so he visited our factory, and so what he told was that he bought this solar cold storage through subsidy scheme in West Bengal, and he made lot of money in last 2 months. So earlier he was using it for ripening, right, for storing other commodities, but this time it was Ramadan, and he bought lot of expensive fruits from outside, and he made couple of lakh rupees from that solar cold storage. So this is one kind of example, right, which we came to know yesterday, that a lot of people use it for different applications. So in Nagaland we have seen systems being used for mushroom, then tea leaf, right? Means I became amazed that how come our system is used for tea leaves. So they plug tea leaves and they put it inside, and they are using it for the demand supply. Or I would say they are processing time gap. So they need to process it, and for that 1 week they are storing it inside, because if it is rain, right, so it will not go bad. Then interesting, very recently, 1 month back, we got a system installed on egg, and the end user, and without subsidy, he has bought a system, and it came out to be cheaper to him. Thermal storage, 8 hours of grid, any time of the day, 24/7 cooling. And he called me 3 days back that we had this dust storm, and because of that this dust storm, his some tree has fallen, and he didn't had power for next 12 hours. So he saved 6,000 rupees straight away, right? So that is another kind of a example which we saw. We have lot of in Bihar, couple of systems are used for farm for their own produce, and when the producer is not there, they start using it to become like a wholesaler of fruits. So there is another business model which we have seen.
मैं थोड़ा सा इसमें ऐड कर दूंगा. I'll add you add some one or two things in this. One is कि देखिए जो टेक्नोलॉजी बनाते हैं ना, जो आशीष बोल रहे थे, commercial part of the business is always different than what in terms of when we talk of technology. अगर मान लीजिए ब्लू स्टार आज से 20 साल पहले ऐसे सोचते कि हम फ्री में कोल्ड रूम बांटेंगे, तो अभी तक उनके यहाँ ताले लग गए होते हैं in terms of all the refrigeration companies because they worked in those companies. और 20 years ago, don't think it was easy to sell a cold room. It was very very tough. We used to sell small cold storages. Even जैसे आप जो बेचते हो ना 6x8 के, हम भी बेचते थे. And we used to talk about certain technologies, but we never went through that NGO way. और आपके क्वेश्चन में ही उसका आंसर है, बिकॉज आप एक स्केलेबल बिजनेस मॉडल बनाना चाहते हैं, बट आप उसको फ्री करना चाहते हो, तो फिर कैसे होगा? इट विल नॉट हैपन ना. और जैसे आकाश ने भी बताया, कोल्ड चेन में आपकी जो एप्लीकेशंस होती हैं वो एवरी ईयर दे डिफर. आज इस साल आपका आइसक्रीम का बिजनेस अच्छा होगा, अगले साल दैट सेक्टर विल गो डाउन एंड देयर विल बी ए न्यू सेक्टर, लाइक कुछ और नया आएगा. सो इम्पॉर्टेंटली what this industry has to also understand is कि जैसे आशीष ने भी बताया कि these are two different verticals और आप इनको मिक्स करके चल रहे हो. एनर्जी के टू प्रमोट एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी और उस स्केल पे आप इसको फ्री करना चाहते हो, तो कभी भी ये सक्सेसफुल मॉडल नहीं होगा. दिस विल नेवर बिकम अ सक्सेसफुल मॉडल. दैट इज वन. सेकेंड थिंग इज आप भी बेबी स्टेप्स ले रहे हो. यू जस्ट टेकिंग द बेबी स्टेप्स और आप यू ट्राइंग टू बिकम ए एडल्ट. तो तभी हमने इसको रेस्ट्रिक्ट किया है इन अप टू कलेक्शन एग्रीगेशन सेंटर्स. जबकि हमारे पास प्रेशर आ रहा था कि नहीं, हम तो प्री कूलर भी बनाएंगे, हम तो इसमें 5000 मीट्रिक टन भी लगा सकते हैं. तो बनाइए, आप अपना पैसा लगा के बनाइए, आप देखते हैं कितने बनाएंगे. क्योंकि जब तक आप उसमें कमर्शियल एंगल हमें समझ आ रही थी, वी ऑल्सो अंडरस्टूड वाई पीपल वर ट्राइंग टू टेल अस. मान लीजिए फॉर एग्जाम्पल नितिन है, ही हैज़ डेवलप्ड ए टेक्नोलॉजी. इनका काम है अपनी टेक्नोलॉजी को अच्छा और करना, to keep on advancing, but his intent is not to tell me as a policy maker कि मैं इसे ये भी, आप इसको ये भी ऐसे भी करवा सकते हैं. ऐसे हम नहीं करेंगे. वैसे हमें एज अ कमर्शियल साइड पे जो ठीक लग रहा है कि आज आप स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं किसी नए प्रोसेस को, तो आप उसको कैसे कैसे कहाँ, तभी हमने इसका नाम भी ट्रांजिट कोल्ड रूम रखा है. वी हैव नॉट सेड इट. आप अगर हमारी गाइडलाइंस में देखेंगे, उसमें कहीं पे हमने ये नहीं बोला कि आप इसको 10 दिन के लिए यूज़ कीजिए. हम बोल रहे हैं कि आप छोटे छोटे कामों के लिए यूज़ कीजिए. दैट इज़ वेरी वन थिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड सेकेंड थिंग जो आपने भी बात करी कि हम अभी जैसे आप स्किल की बात कर रहे हैं, जैसे मैं बहुत बार सुनता हूँ टेक्नीशियंस को ट्रेन कीजिए. क्यों नहीं हो रहे हैं टेक्नीशियन ट्रेन? वाई आर नॉट टेक्नीशियन गेटिंग ट्रेंड? लोगों के पास यहाँ पे क्या आइडियाज़ नहीं है कि टेक्नीशियंस को कैसे ट्रेनिंग करेंगे. देखिए, एक रास्ता होता है, आपको उस रास्ते पे चलना पड़ता है. वंस यू स्टार्ट मूविंग ऑन दैट रोड, तब आपको पता होनी चाहिए कि इस रोड पे आगे मुझे इससे कैसे काम करना है. आज आपने एक पॉलिसी बनाई है, अगर मेरे मतलब इफ़ आई डोंट हैव द विजन ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटिंग दैट पॉलिसी और मुझे उसमें कैसे स्किल लेके आनी है, तो फिर उस पॉलिसी का कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनता ना. क्या मतलब, बना दी पॉलिसी, लिख दी है 10 15 20 पॉइंट, जिनको पैसा चाहिए होगा वो लाइन में खड़े होकर ले जाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं होता कभी भी. तो जब कोई भी चीज़ बनती है तो उसका एंड क्या है, जाना कहाँ तक है और उसको स्टार्ट कहाँ से करना है, देन इट बिकम मोर इफेक्टिव. तो अभी थोड़े दिनों में आप ये भी देखेंगे स्किल डेवलपमेंट कैसे होती है इंडिया में. हम जो स्किल डेवलपमेंट का नया अभी चैप्टर खोलने वाले हैं NCCD के थ्रू, यू विल सी इट इज़ गोइंग टू बी ए मैसिव इनिशिएटिव फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. मैसिव जिसको बोलते हैं, हम दिखा देंगे कि टेक्नीशियंस को ट्रेन कैसे किया जाता है. विल शो हाउ दीज टेक्नीशियंस आर गोइंग टू गेट ट्रेन एंड how bifurcations are going to happen now in terms of skill development. When we talk of skill development, not only in terms of technicians, हमारे यहाँ technicians की सिर्फ कमी नहीं है, हमारे यहाँ consultants की भी कमी है. हमारे यहाँ financial outlay जो बनाते हैं किसी प्रोजेक्ट की, उनकी भी कमी है. आप कॉपी मारते हैं, उसका देख लिया, जैसे अभी कह रहे थे उसने क्या किया, मैंने क्या किया, उसको मिक्स कर दीजिए. फिर आपके यहाँ कमी है ट्रेनर्स की. हम ट्रेनिंग देना चाहते हैं, बट पहले ट्रेन द ट्रेनर का सिस्टम तो स्टार्ट कीजिए, आप उनको आगे बढ़ाएंगे. तो ये सारी चीज़ें आती हैं पॉलिसी के अंदर, और आप अपने विजन को कैसे आगे लेके जाते हैं. then things roll out. Otherwise, मैं भी 25 साल से cold chain में मैंने भी बहुत कुछ देखा है.
ये जो आपका सोलर कोल्ड स्टोरेज का जो पूरा इकोसिस्टम है, इसमें प्रॉब्लम कहाँ आ रही है एक्चुअली? मुझे जो समझ में आया, आपके पास एक फाउंडेशन है, एनजीओ है और एक कस्टमर है. तो फिर आपने बोला एक कस्टमर जो यूज़र है, ही डजंट वांट टू स्पेंड मनी ऑन द मेंटेनेंस. तो हुज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज द मेंटेनेंस पार्ट एंड वेयर डज द प्रॉब्लम कम? Why it is not getting very successful? Because I think it's a very good initiative.
No, so what I said was कि see जहाँ फाउंडेशन फ्री में लगा देता है वहाँ इशू आता है. So अगर एनजीओ उसको फ्री में दे रहा है वहाँ इशू आता है. जहाँ एंड यूजर उसको पे करके लगा रहा है वहाँ इशू नहीं आता है. वहाँ कभी नहीं इशू. एंड देन so that is the main challenge. और कोई चैलेंज नहीं है. तो वो जो मैम का क्वेश्चन था कि फाउंडेशन अगर सिस्टम दे रहे हैं एंड लॉट ऑफ दी सिस्टम्स आर गिवन बाय एनजीओ. सो दोज आर द इशू. दैट इज द वन इशू. सेकंड इशू ये है कि सो आई विल गिव यू एग्जांपल, राइट? आई विल नॉट नेम द स्टेट. सो वेरी रिसेंटली एंड so government has a really good policy. Means I would say right, means in India government is really promoting solar और sustainability. Problem होता है लोगों में and वो भी farmers में ही. So I will give you example. There was in the state government 28 system project of solar cold storage came. 3 महीने पुरानी बात है. 60% subsidy. And government official approached us. ये चल क्या रहा है इसके अंदर? So I told what happened. Our quotation went at 10 lakh and 28 lakh. Our own quotation. So what is happening on the ground is there are no specification because this came before NCCD guidelines. So what happened? 28 lakh project, 60% subsidy. Project cost is 17 lakhs. Now the farmer is undersizing it to an extent that it becomes free of cost. System price is 10 lakhs only. So at the end he is making money out of that subsidy policy and he is forcing us to overbill. And then we told no, we cannot do. And from somewhere he bought it.
I think
So that is the main challenge, right? Then if everything is undersized, then right? If he getting for free, right?
so.
Then
That's
he will not value it.
gross misuse of the government facilities which is being provided actually.
So that is the main issue.
Let me. This is Zenzei Raj. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Founder Vision India 2032. We're into capacity building and nation building initiative. In fact, I just came over from another meeting talking about sustainability and framework building, ecosystem building. So what Mr. Ashish Fatedar said when you spoke, and then you nailed it when you said that now. What you need is a roadmap, the end in mind. I'm a farmer even today. I may not look like one, but I am a farmer. City born brat, but again, we are into it. So I'm also building agri-clusters. What you need is the pain points of the farmers. So I completely disagree with you when you say farmers are grossly misutilizing it. Sorry to say, that is not the reality. I have traveled the length and breadth of my country. When somebody said, oh, आप US से वापस आ गए, आपको यहाँ का पता नहीं है? अरे भाई साहब, हम मोटरसाइकिल चला के चलते हैं. I've just come back from 3 weeks from the northeast. I've sat with the FPOs myself. I've gone to Kaziranga myself. Come with me, I'll show you. हम आपको दिखा देंगे. हकीकत क्या है, आप जाके देखिए. जब आप मुफ्त में देंगे ना, कुछ नहीं चलते हैं. Come with me to Uttarakhand. I have adopted 18 villages myself in the higher altitudes of the Himalayas, where I'm a search and rescue mountain climber even today. The point of the matter is, it's not about free. Have you felt the pain points of the farmer? Have you felt where are the cross references and the points that you could elevate the farmer and create the livelihoods in a sustainable manner? So let me take you back a few years ago. This is a live reality which has been. When you come as a cooperative, so let me take a couple of things, but let me tell you about one aspect of it, tender coconuts. So when we also grow tender coconuts, other people in the local area also grow tender coconuts. So the brokers would come to your doorstep and buy it at about 175 per coconut. So it's a few years ago. Now we wanted to totally negate the brokers from the ecosystem. So what we did, we went to the desiccated coconut exporters. So they would need to export for them. So I said, give me your annual requirement. So that way I could go give you the tender coconuts required, provided you send your scientific whatever process is needed. So collectively, about 60-kilometer radius, everybody came together. Guess what the farmer got done? 425 to 450 per tender coconut. Tell me what is not possible. Is no subsidies required? We do not need subsidies in this country. If you plan it properly, subsidies, who's paying for it? Everybody's paying for it, not just the farmer. So number one, so I can blow that theory out of the air. Now, number two comes in, what is the elevated pain, the points at which you are showing the farmer that you are an integral component of the entire ecosystem? Do we understand this? Do we design policies? Sorry, I'm coming back to you on this one. Not you, but policies in general. Do we design policies keeping all of these in our priority, in our focus? That's not the way we do it. As you rightly pointed out, you need to design an ecosystem. You cannot have incremental growth in this country today. We need exponential growth. Exponential growth comes in only when you have all of these taken into consideration. I happen to be convener of the AI in Agri-Systems, Ecosystems and Sustainability, which is recently formed. I'll be happy to share my thoughts and the network as well if you want to take this to grow. Because cold chains are much needed in our country. We are losing not billions, we might lose $1 trillion plus if we do not get our act right today. Mark my words. The foreign overseas players will come here, they will come here if we do not get our act together.
I answer you, see, what do you understand in terms of the cold chain as a policy? Cold chain cannot survive in India as an standalone model. It cannot. So in this policy, you will see there is an integration that we have done now. That is why in my opening remarks, I very clearly said that at the point of distribution, we are well sorted out at this point of time. On the supply chain, we are lacking. So that's why we have now divided the supply chain from 1 metric ton up to 30 metric ton, which means you are basically promoting cross linkages from the farm to the intermediaries, which is kind of a spoke, and then you have a hub, and then you connect hub to the spoke also. It is not going to be one-sided. So you are going to now do the policy is now integrated. It's not a standalone component कि आपने कहीं पे एक छोटा सा पैक हाउस लगा लिया और उसके अंदर कुछ भी कर. तो इसलिए अब हमने जो पॉलिसी में जो चेंजेस लाए हैं विच इज़ एंड टू एंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ अगर आपने एक पैक हाउस लगाना है उसकी आप कंपोनेंट्स डिटेल देख लीजिए. तभी हम फार्म गेट पे उसकी वो जब प्रोड्यूस लेके आएगा. नहीं तो आप देखिए इंडिया का जो यूपी में जाइए वो ट्रैक्टर में लेके आ रहा है. वो एक मेरे पास अभी 2-3 दिन पहले somebody came to me and told me, मैं तो ट्रैक्टर में लाऊंगा, मैं क्यों वो लगाऊंगा आपके यहाँ, वाई शुड आई पुट ए डॉक लेडर. मैंने बोला आप सिर्फ आलू थोड़ी करोगे, 6 महीने के बाद सेब भी तो रखोगे. कभी आपके पास कोई फॉरेनर आएगा, वो बोलेगा मुझे आपका आलू पसंद आया, मैं आपका स्टोर लूँगा, तब क्या करोगे. तो मैंने उसको जब वो बोला बहुत खुश हुआ, बोला हाँ अब मैं करूँगा, आई विल डू दिस. सो आई एम लुकिंग. सो वन इज एजुकेशन इज ऑल्सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. पीपल आर नॉट अवेयर. हम जो देख रहे हैं हमारे लाइन से बहुत बार ऐसा होता है, अच्छा पॉलिसी भी है, गाड़ियों के ऊपर भी पैसा मिल रहा है. सो हम उस चीज़ को सब दूर करने वाले हैं. हम वी आर कमिंग अप विद अ मैसिव रोल आउट ऑफ प्लान इन टर्म्स ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन और ऑपरेशनल मेंटेनेंस की भी एक गाइडलाइन हम लेके आ रहे हैं.
Well, thank you, sir. I think this discussion
Sir,
is
we'll have
something-
your question
Yeah.
one-to-one because we have a time limitation. But honestly, we're going to come to you, so there's nothing. And I think, in conclusion, I think very nice deliberations brought out by our, esteemed audience. I really want to ask something. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just want to congratulate all of you because the pain which I have been having for the last 10 years seems to have settled down quite a bit. Reason being very honestly, I started working in this sector as an economist in 2015. My first paper was appreciated by the Chief Statistician of India, Professor T.C. Anand and Professor P.S. Boda, published in Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, published by CSO, Central Statistical Organization. That was the first study which looked at the organized sector refrigerated warehousing, because we have dearth of information about the warehouses in order to do the research. Fed up with the narrative which is floated in the global forums around cold chain, I worked for last 10 years, finally decided to publish a book on that theme. And this is, at this moment I came only to listen to the the perspective around now, and I'm happy that we are conscious of the fact that cold chain cannot stand alone, exist in a standalone environment. And something we are talking about, and I'm very glad to hear you when you say that treat a patient as if the food is on a season, because that's the fundamental need of the country. And the kind of issues, the word integrated, I have tried to develop on the theme of integratedness. What is really integratedness about cold chain? It's not about integrated ownership. It's not about integrated policies. It's about integration on a value perspective, having an infrastructure development which takes into account all the various dimensions, and ultimately, it's not about storing the food, it's about livelihood prospects for LMICs, for establishment of value chain, which is the need of the hour. And I'm very relaxed in that sense, and I appreciate NCCD. The only request from my side is, please make the data available to researchers if real-time monitoring is going to be part of it, because universities should get access to that. Because yeah.
So I think, gentlemen, I don't have your name and I probably missed it. So, Dr. Robin Singhal, thank you for making the closing remarks for all of us. Really appreciate you saved our job. Thank you so much. And I think we have so much to discuss because there's a passion, we all are passionate about the vertical we are. So, this session ends here, but our discussions will keep on continuing after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.